Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're getting into, a really fascinating story. It kind of flips the usual idea about good deeds,
Yeah.
that the payoff is always way down the line.
Exactly. This would suggest sometimes the results can be, well, almost instantaneous and pretty spectacular.
We're digging into a commentary on the Dhammapada, right? A specific story.
That's the one. It's called the Nandiyavatthu, the story of Nandiya.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive, working just from the source material you've brought, is to unpack this old story. We want to understand Nandiya, this act of generosity he performs, and these really wild, divine results that apparently happened while he was still alive.
And then wrap up with what the Buddha actually taught about this whole thing, this idea that your good deeds, your merit, literally rolls out the welcome mat for you in the next life.
Sounds like it's packed with some surprising stuff.
Oh, it definitely is. Challenges some assumptions.
Yeah.
So should we start with Nandiya himself?
Yeah, let's set the scene. The source introduces him, young guy, from Vārāṇasi.
Right. Born into a family that's described as being really strong in their faith.
And he was similar. Took after them.
Yeah, it says he was well-suited to them, full of faith himself, and really dedicated to serving the local monks, the Sangha. Comes across as a genuinely good person from the start.
Okay, so he gets to marrying age, and his parents have someone in mind.
Yep. Ravati, his cousin, actually his maternal uncle's daughter, live nearby.
But there's a snag.
A pretty significant one for the story. The source doesn't mince words. It describes Ravati as a sada lacking faith, and maybe more to the point, adanasila stingy, not in the habit of giving.
Ooh, that's quite a contrast to Nandiya.
Exactly, and because of this, Nandiya was apparently really hesitant, didn't want to marry her.
He saw it as a problem.
Understandably. But his mother had a strategy.
Ah, mom steps in.
She does. She goes to Ravati directly
Yeah.
and gives her like super specific instructions, a whole list of household duties.
Related to the monks and his parents.
Precisely. Things like, cleaning the spots where they sit, arranging the seats properly, having the stands ready for the bowls,
Okay.
receiving the monks' bowls when they arrive, offering filtered water, and it even specifies using a water strainer and then washing the bowls after the meal.
Wow, very detailed. What was the point?
The mother basically told Ravati, look, do all this, and my son will find you pleasing. A bit transactional maybe, but practical.
And did Ravati go for it?
The source says she replied, so be it. And she actually did it. Acted as if she had faith, followed the instructions.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
But only for a few days. Just a very short time.
Long enough to convince Nandiya's parents, though.
Apparently so. They reported back to him, see, she's obedient. He agreed, they set a date, and the wedding happened.
But Nandiya must have still had his doubts.
Seems like it. Because after the wedding, he told her straight up, you can live in this house if you take care of the Sangha and my parents. He warned her, be diligent.
And her response.
Same again. So be it. But, just like before, she only kept it up for a few days. Then, the source mentions, she gave birth to their 2 sons.
Right, so maybe that became the focus. Or maybe she felt more secure now.
Could be. But then, a big change happens in the household dynamic.
What's that?
Nandiya's parents pass away.
Ah, okay, so the elders are gone.
Which means, according to the source, all the authority in the house now belongs solely to Ravati.
So Nandiya's wife, the one described as faithless and stingy, is now running the show.
Exactly. And you might think this would discourage Nandiya or maybe lead to conflict, but his reaction was unexpected.
How so?
From the time his parents died, the source says he became a Maha Dhanapati, a great patron of giving.
Wait, so losing his parents and his wife taking control made him more generous?
It seems to have spurred him on. He didn't just keep things going. He seriously ramped it up. Started giving lots of gifts specifically to the monks. And he broadened his scope too. Started providing cooked meals right at his door for the poor, for travelers. Anyone in need, basically. Kapadika Dina.
So his generosity really expanded outwards.
Massively. And then another key event. He heard the Buddha teach.
Directly.
And the teaching was specifically about the benefit, the anisasa of avasadana giving dwelling places.
Giving monasteries or lodging for monks.
Right. And this teaching really resonated with Nandiya. It inspired him to undertake a huge project.
What did he do?
He decided to build a large monastery in the Isipatana forest near Bārāṇasi. The source describes it as quite substantial, a katasala, a hall with 4 main chambers or sections.
The proper building.
Oh, yeah. And he didn't just build a shell. He had it fully furnished. beds, chairs, all the necessities for the monks.
And the crucial step.
The dedication. He formally offered it to the Buddha and the entire Sangha, poured the dedication water, offering it right to the Tathagata, the Buddha himself.
Okay, so a major act of faith and generosity inspired by a direct teaching. Now, this is where the story gets unusual, right?
This is where it goes from impressive generosity to something else entirely. The source states, quite plainly, that as soon as that dedication water was poured,
Yes, what happened?
instantly, a divine palace, a Devapasado, sprang into existence in the Tāvatiṃsa heaven.
Hold on. Instantly, while he's still standing there on earth finishing the ceremony.
That's exactly what the text claims, an immediate heavenly result.
Wow, okay. Tell me about this palace. Was it just like a small divine hut?
Not quite. The description is staggering. It says it extended 12 yojanas in all directions.
12 yojanas. How far is a yojana? I know it varies, but it's miles, isn't it?
It is. Estimates range, but let's say maybe 7 or 8 miles per yojana, could be more. So 12 yojanas. You're talking about a structure maybe 90, 100 miles across in every direction.
That's not a palace, that's a divine country. And how high?
100 yojanas high. So unbelievably tall. A skyscraper reaching into the heavens.
Made of what? Gold?
Even better, 7 kinds of jewels.
Yeah.
And filled, absolutely filled, with groups of Vichara divine maidens.
Okay, mind blown. An enormous jeweled palace instantly appearing in heaven, staffed with celestial beings, all because of Nandiya's donation on earth.
That's the picture the source paints. A direct, immediate, and frankly incredible consequence.
But hang on, how would anyone on earth know this? You can't exactly see Tāvatiṃsa heaven from Bārāṇasi.
Yeah, good question. This brings in another key figure, the venerable Moggallāna.
Right, one of the Buddha's chief disciples, famous for his psychic powers.
Exactly, including the ability to travel to other realms, like the heavens. So the story goes, one day Moggallāna is doing his usual rounds, visiting the heaven world's Devakarika.
Just popping up for a visit.
Seems like it. And while he's in Tāvatiṃsa, he sees this absolutely stunning palace. It stands out.
I bet.
He sees it, full of these divine maidens, and some divine sons, Devaputas, come up to him. So he asks them, whose place is this?
And do they know?
Oh yes, they tell him straight away. This mansion, it arose for Nandiya, the householder's son, because he built and dedicated that dwelling place back in Isipatana for the Buddha and Sangha.
So the heavenly beings knew exactly who it belonged to and why it was there.
They did. And it gets even more interesting. The divine maidens, the Achara, inside the palace, they see Moggallāna too.
And they talk to him.
They come down from the palace and speak to him directly. But they're not happy.
Not happy. They're in a massive jeweled palace in heaven. What's wrong?
They are, as the source puts it, extremely displeased or very restless. They tell Moggallāna, look, we were born here specifically to be Nandiya's attendants.
Okay.
But they say, he's not here. We don't see him. And this is causing them great distress.
That is remarkable. They're divine beings in paradise, and they're upset because the human guy whose good deed created their home hasn't arrived yet.
Precisely. Their existence is tied to him, to his merit. And they make this really striking comparison. They tell Moggallāna that being born into this divine state, this palace, without Nandiya, well, it's like breaking a simple earthenware bowl only to get a golden bowl.
Wait, getting the golden bowl is the bad part of that comparison.
In their view, yes.
Yeah.
The golden bowl, the heavenly realm without Nandiya, who was presumably the intended content or reason for the bowl, is somehow less desirable than, well, whatever the alternative was. It implies his presence is more valuable than the divine realm itself.
That really flips the perspective, doesn't it? Usually you'd think getting the golden bowl is the whole point.
Absolutely. It highlights the connection between the merit maker and the result in a very personal way. And their request to Moggallāna is simple.
Let me guess. Tell Nandiya to hurry up and get here.
Pretty much. Tell Nandiya to come to this place. They want him to claim his heavenly reward.
So Moggallāna has seen the palace, confirmed who owns it, talked to the slightly grumpy divine staff. What does he do next?
He returns from heaven, goes straight to the Buddha. He's clearly amazed by what he saw.
And he has a question, I assume.
A fundamental one, really. He asked the Buddha, basically, is this real? Does divine attainment, like that palace, actually arise for people who are still alive down here just because they did good deeds?
Yeah.
He needs confirmation.
He saw it, but he still needs the Buddha to verify it conceptually.
Exactly. And the Buddha's response is great. He sort of gently teases Moggallāna, saying, Moggallāna, didn't you just see Nandiya's divine palace in heaven with your own eyes? Why are you asking me?
Okay, fair point.
Moggallāna confirms, yes, Lord, I saw it. And the Buddha then uses this incredible confirmed event, Nandiya's palace, as a perfect illustration.
To explain the bigger principle.
Right. He wants to show how merit works more broadly. And he uses this beautiful analogy.
The one about the returning traveler?
That's it. He says, imagine someone's son, or maybe their brother, has been away for ages, traveling far, maybe trading, maybe working for the king, and he's been successful, made a profit.
Okay, a long journey, coming home successful.
And someone sees him, standing right there at the village gate, safe and sound.
Relief and excitement.
Totally. So this person rushes home, bursting with the news. He's back. So-and-so is back.
And the family.
They're overjoyed, delighted. They all rush out to the gate. Welcome home, dear father. You've arrived. Big hugs, lots of joy. And when he gets back to the house, they shower him with gifts. Just pure happiness at his safe return.
That's a really warm, vivid image. How does that relate to Nandiya and his merit?
The Buddha says, just like that, when a person who has done good deeds, who has accumulated merit, leaves this world and goes to the next.
Yes.
Their merits, the good deeds themselves, receive them.
So the deeds act like the welcoming family.
Exactly. The puññāni, the merits, stand in the place of those joyful relatives. They are filled with delight, and they welcome the person, saying, in effect, welcome home.
Wow. That's powerful. Not just arriving at a destination, but being actively welcomed by your own past actions.
And they don't come empty-handed. The Buddha says these merits arrive holding 10 kinds of divine gifts.
10 kinds? What are they?
Divine lifespan, divine beauty or appearance, divine happiness, divine fame or reputation, and divine lordship or dominion.
Okay, the big 5 heavenly attributes.
Plus the 5 divine sense experiences. Divine sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and touches. So the merits themselves present you with this complete package of heavenly bliss upon arrival.
So your good deeds literally hand you the keys to the kingdom and throw a welcome party.
That's the essence of the analogy. The Buddha then recited some verses, some gathas, reinforcing this very point, comparing the merits welcoming the good person to relatives and friends, welcoming back a loved one from afar.
And this teaching, tied to Nandiya's very real, verifiable palace, it must have had quite an impact.
Huge impact. The source material concludes by saying that after the Buddha gave this discourse, drawing on Nandiya's story and Moggallāna's testimony, many people in the audience attained stages of enlightenment right then and there, starting with stream entry.
So the story wasn't just amazing, it was effective as a teaching tool. It made the concept of merit real and immediate for people.
Absolutely. It showed how one person's extraordinary generosity could ripple outwards, creating tangible results in other realms, and illustrating a core principle about how our actions shape our future, and even how that future receives us.
So reflecting on this whole journey we've taken through the source we met Nandiya, saw his faithfulness despite his wife's initial reluctance.
Right, then his huge step up in giving after his parents died, culminating in building that monastery.
Which led to that unbelievable, instantaneous, divine palace in heaven, seen by Moggallāna.
Confirmed by the Buddha, who then used it to teach that beautiful analogy. Your good deeds are like loving relatives welcoming you with amazing gifts when you arrive in the next life.
So you're thinking about this for you, the listener. What does this ancient story about Nandiya, a palace made of jewels, and these welcoming merits actually mean today?
Well, it offers a different lens, doesn't it? A perspective where our positive actions, our generosity, our kindness, maybe they aren't just abstract concepts adding points to some distant scoreboard.
Right.
Maybe they have a more dynamic, almost immediate resonance.
A tangible potential grounded in this narrative, at least. And that final thought, that provocative detail from the source. The divine maidens in heaven.
Yeah, being unhappy because Nandiya wasn't there yet.
And comparing their amazing heavenly existence without him to getting a golden bowl after breaking an earthenware one. Like the golden bowl was somehow lacking.
What does that striking image, coming from beings literally living in paradise, suggest about value, about presence, about the connection to the person whose merit created that reality?
Right.
It's definitely something to chew on, isn't it? It makes you think about what truly matters, even across different realms of existence.